Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It is our halftime show, but instead of a show, I actually think that we have a unique opportunity here, Mad
Oh,
Magical.
what do we got going?
hmm
What do we got happening?
Well, you see, we're going to be joined by assistant coach Gis, and
That guy?
are you ready?
Oh God, that guy. Yeah, I
Yeah,
suppose I'm ready.
it's not a speech this time. We actually
Oh,
get to ask him questions.
oh, okay. I don't know
Yeah,
if that's
so
better.
I hope you came prepared. I've got my recording device ready to go, and we're gonna have to bring in assistant coach Kiss and see what kind of see what we can pick up.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's make this one brief. I'm a busy man. It's halftime, so I got to get back to the team. But I hear that y'all have a couple questions, so I'm gonna pass it over to you on the left first. The guy with the classic $5 haircut. What's up, man?
Who's that supposed to be? Is that me or you?
I think it's you.
Is it me?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure. What's your favorite color, Coach Guts?
Favorite color? Really? You're coming
yeah.
on here to you're taking my time after a loss. Dignitas
Hey,
Academy.
look.
and you're asking me my favorite
we
color.
gotta. Yeah. Sometimes we gotta ask personal questions. We want to make sure that you're feeling cozy. Start off with a simple one.
It's blue. Are you
color.
So
satisfied?
not the same color as Dignitas' main color. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on though.
It's not part of my
Dig,
contract.
you guys dropped that game.
Yep.
Can you kind of tell me, that last two picks on the blue side, the Tryndamere, the Gragas, flexing that Tryndamere mid. What was the thought process behind that? Why didn't it work out?
Well, as a coach, sometimes it's my job to tell you what you don't want to hear and show you what you don't want to see. Now, the bottom line is, even if we don't like it, we disrespected TSM a little in that game one. They came in hungry, they came in ready. We needed to pay more attention to their strengths and our weaknesses. So our initial idea was obviously, they're not going to understand how to play against this. Darkwings has been working on it. He's been receiving a lot of flack for his champ pool, so we're trying to flex that a little bit this season, adding a 13th unique champion to the pool. But unfortunately, like I said, we didn't give TSM enough respect. They came in prepared.
Okay, follow up. Is 13 an unlucky number? Do you need to make it 14?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, well, that was our intention this entire time. Our goal is 20 by the end of the season. Next up, we have Timo and Nunu on the list. So, TSM, if you're listening, be prepared for Timo and Nunu mid lane for this next game.
Don't say Nunu mid. I think Mad Magical might get too excited about that.
Yes.
We might lose focus
Yes.
going into the next game.
Okay. I got a question. I'll ask this for on the half Twitch chat. What's your rank?
What's my rank?
Yeah.
Well, as everybody knows, in order to be a coach, you have to be high enough rank to earn respect of your players. So I'm rocking a current silver 1. I'm grinding. We're in placements right now. So any day now, we're gonna be right up to the level that I'm aiming for.
Mad Magical, our wonderful other color caster Joshi just hit diamond
He
last time.
did.
Oh,
That's
congratulations! Congratulations.
pretty huge. Maybe one day you can get there too. But
Well,
first,
according to
I wanna
Reddit,
talk
diamond
about-
diamond 4 and silver 1 are about the same. So yeah, I mean, good for him though. Good for him.
Speaking of diamond, I do want to talk about maybe a diamond in the rough that game. Your son on the Tom Kench really threw you guys a wrench. What are you gonna do to try and change things up? Because it felt like once mid was lost, you didn't have a winning matchup bot. Is there any lane that you feel like you're going to play towards this next game? You're going to spill any strats for us? I need all the notes I can get going into the next one.
I know you're always that guy. I remember you from the last time.
need
You're
to
always
look
going to
smart.
try and get me to leak the strats, okay? But all I can say is, as athletes, these guys have ups and downs, and unfortunately, you can't pick the days that they come on. XU has won about 90% of those Baron flips, but, this was that 10%, and sometimes it just, comes down to not having the right setup for those fights. But in the end, our greatest asset is never our physical ability, it's our mental ability. And I know XU, I know he's going to bounce back, and I know that you're going to expect you should expect some firepower coming from the jungle this time around. Now, a final question here, as I do really need to get back to the team.
So cheese side down is not that demoralizing, is what we're saying.
No, never.
Okay.
Oh, do I have to ask the last question? Okay.
I'm kind of scared of you getting the last question, but yes, you are up.
All right. So I'm gonna ask this one, and feel free to answer it honestly, and please
Okay.
answer it honestly.
Okay.
Can you leak some strats, please? Pretty please.
No,
Pretty please.
All right.
Darkwing's Cassio.
All right, we're gonna give you clips, Riven. Are you happy? Are you happy now?
Ooh,
You just got the strats.
Yes.
In the Viper?
That's
Let's
the
go.
secret.
I am.
Yeah,
I
well,
like it.
it's called the ego pick. You know, to build a strong team, you got to see your teammates' strengths as a complement to your weaknesses, not a threat to your position. We're gonna start playing into
It's
a
not an ego
Eclipse's
pick if you win.
strengths
Yeah.
this time around. Okay.
Okay. Hey, it's not an ego pick if you win.
Exactly. All right, I do have to get going. Back to the team though, so I'll pass it back over to you. I'm sure that you're busy to go write up your little stories now and twist all the words that I just said. So
Yes,
yeah.
I mean, I got the recording to keep it accurate, but you can always edit the tape. So
Yeah.
thank you.
All
I
right.
was gonna say,
Take care.
I've already written down some of the things he said, and I've just changed all the words around to how I want them to be. It's
Perfect, man.
great. So what he said is that we're definitely getting a Nunu mid. We got to look out for that because that's their secret strat that they're picking, and maybe just possibly picking Riven. That's like a maybe though. It's more
all
likely
I
Nunu
heard
mid.
All I heard was that Silver 1 equals Diamond 4, which I think made a lot of people in Twitch chat happy.
I bet. I honestly bet. But you know what? I do want to get back on topic. I want to actually talk about what we have ahead of us. TSM, Dignitas. That was not only just a big win for TSM because it keeps that one possibility alive for them, winning all 6 games and hoping for a miracle between Dignitas and 100 Thieves. But it also means, like, when we look at how they won, that was a dominating performance. That was absolutely crushing. And I'd love to know what Kangas has to think about this and what he has to say.
Funny you should ask, Magical, because of course I am here, back and ready. Sorry for having to step out there for a second, but
Okay.
happy for you guys to fill the show for a little bit. General thoughts: TSM, Kaiduo having a much better performance this time around. He got absolutely the better of Darkwings in that matchup, and I think that TSM Academy
With some help.
are coming together. They're actually, I mean, the story of this team was last week. They played with different mid laners. It felt like the team was a little behind. I'm like, oh, we have a roster swap coming in here. These decisions took a turn kind of halfway through the week. So TSM Academy, this looked like one that they've had a week of scrims. They've had practice together, and they're actually playing as a team. And as weird as it is, that's kind of what I boil a lot of that last game down to. But I don't think that I need to give too many more thoughts because I believe I'm hearing that we're ready for pick and ban already.
Wow.
So with that said, I'm just gonna pass it back to the two of you. I got 1 point in. There we go. My job's done. Easy peasy. Take it away, Magical.
There we go. We got the 1 point from Kangas. He talks about it, and now he has to go so quickly. It felt like it was too soon. But I'm ready to get into this game.
That's all right. We got the smooth brain take from Steve. That's all we needed.
I mean, that is very accurate. Very accurate, I would say. But let's dive into Champion Select, because at the moment, that Hecarim is still being banned by TSM, even though they swapped sides. Zeri banned by Dignitas since they are on the red side, and they don't want to have that first pick potential out of instinct. They're not letting that happen at all.
And I think that, the side swap, that is the choice of Dig. I think that we're going to see a couple switch ups here. I think that with all the mid lane bans being thrown out each side, I think that Kaido, I would not be surprised if he is setting up for a Corki to blind. I think that the Azir pick, when you take Airy, Scorch, you can actually get a pretty dominant lane phase on Azir into the Corki. I know that is the old school matchup that we all like to meme on, the sweeper picks. But I think it is something that TSM, setting up for that Corki for Kaido, I actually really like their identity with scaling in that last game. And it's something that I think we might see TSM index more into, especially going in the dig. A team that really focuses on making early plays around that first crab, around that first herald. As diving back into this pick ban, Mad Magical Jinx is up, and that's going to be insta-locked by the side of Instinct and TSM.
No surprise there, even though Rise is also available, and I would expect that out of Darkwings here. Get the Failures and Rise to make sure you can deny that. They don't. They just get a solid bot lane.
So Tom Kench was taken away. And I think that Rise is the one pick that might prevent the Corki from heading over to the side of TSM, because Rise, you get full prio. I think we have seen Darkwings play it rather well. Now, if Kaido does want to pick up the Rise here, I would not be surprised if we see Darkwings immediately slam a Cassiopeia.
I want it, Cubby.
Him and Harry are the two manners that we have in Academy that really like that side of the matchup. The Rise is now locked in. I want to see if Darkwings goes for Cassio. It's really good into the Rise, but I think in the Jinx and Nautilus, you might actually struggle a little bit with range, as Cassio lower range than the Jinx, and if Instinct gets ahead, he has a lot more range than what Dignitas is showing at the moment. So maybe Dignitas wants a different plan than that. Maybe the Casio is a little bit over-indexed. They don't want it yet. They are going to take the Jarvan and eat some bans.
I actually do respect them not taking the Cassiopeia just yet. And you know,
Yeah.
want to know why, Cubby?
Why?
Because they've actually, the side of TSM have flexed that Rise into Viper before, in this season. So it's something that they don't want to necessarily give up that advantage to say, hey, this is guaranteed going into mid lane, and then Swapperoonie, they get the Rise top lane, they get something that actually counters Cassiopeia mid lane, and it's trouble cities for Dignitas all over again.
And you know what? Maybe this is something, if you were on the side of Dignitas, I think one of the other issues with the last game was Hyper was able to come back in that jungle matchup.
Yeah.
The first couple clears from XU was not punishing enough. He got punished on the back half. And now we're going to see Jarvan be taken. This gives XU that ganker, something we know that he is so good at. And you're going into two immobile carries that don't have a Tahm Kench or a Thresh. So this setup for Dignitas, we do see the Casio taken away. We were teasing so much, but this can be a victor for Darklings that has been his most successful champion this split. I think that Dignitas have a much more standard team comp set up, but one that can also play a little bit better in the TSM as the game moves forward. Going to be more onus on TSM with this Rise to try and make plays and affect those side lanes early.
But what does Hyper want to play for the side of TSM is the big question mark here. Viego? It looks like they're going back to Viego.
It's a lot of lockdown between the Nautilus, the Rise. You can try and get that first kill and get resets from there. Now, this is a champion that Hyper historically has played really well. I think his two best champs last year, it was the Viego and the Lee Sin that we always see banned away from the side of TSM. And now, Viper, he might be going on one of the champions that he's found the most success with this split. As the Tryndamere has been banned out, that makes it a lot safer for the Akali top, as Viper is 4-2 on this Akali. It is his most played. He's been really good, and this gives TSM a lot of ways to attack the Aphelios and the Victor. And we'll see what Eclipse has to answer here, as we could see something like a Gangplank to buy some a lot of space with the barrels. Another option would be Renekton or Set if Eclipse wants to go for something like that. And instead, okay, we have an Aatrox for Eclipse.
Interesting pick to pair up against something like Akali. Bit surprised by that one. I kind of was with you. I thought the Gangplank would have been a really interesting one. But then again, I don't know if we've seen Eclipse play Gangplank just yet. And that would be a really difficult matchup to go on your first game of the season into, is Viper's Akali.
I'm curious about this one, as I think that, you know, on the rest of TSM, Aatrox is really good when you're against teams that have to jump into you. And Viego has to do that to get the resets. Nautilus has to do that to be useful as well. But Rise, Jinx aren't full commit. So I think that this actually gives Viper an okay laning phase. If you land the backwards Shuriken flip, you're going to win out on a lot of these trades against the Aatrox. And we've seen what Viper's Akali can do if it gets ahead. It is a nightmare to play against. And I think that he has all the targets in the world. Now, on the flip side for Dignitas, we came into this series really building up XU. That Jarvan pick, he has the potential to make these early plays happen and use the Cataclysm to force flashes out of TSM and push the pace, push the tempo of the game. Something that I think Dignitas does very well as an academy team. If they get a summoner spell advantage, they love to attack and punish that. So with this Jarvan, they now have the potential to do so. And we'll see if Dignitas can use the cash in.
I'm curious to see that as well. I want to really see if they can utilize this Jarvan like you. I'm looking at XU and how he can play, because if he can make a play top lane especially, get Eclipse into a good spot against Viper's Akali, shut down the Akali early into the game so you don't have to worry about it later, that's a great way to start out of the gates for Dignitas.
And it's something that I'm going to be looking for as we are hopping into the second game of this best two. Our last game of the day over here on twitch.tv/FaceItTV. You can also catch all the Academy action, of course, twitch.tv/Academy. If you found us here, I'm going to expect you to know about that stream. But, you know, I'm never against two windows being open.
Plus, they have a third series while we have the two. So make sure that you tune into them afterwards, just in case you have found us somehow without knowing about Academy. Just want to make sure I throw out that disclaimer as well. We are loaded up onto the Rift Cubby. We have a line of scrimmage, which bores the hell out of me.
Well, you know, what I like about this game spawning in is that at least for Dignitas, the portraits are kind of telling us how they might want to position this game. With Darkwings being a little bit,
I didn't even notice that.
A little bit behind the rest of the team, right? Throwing out the damage.
What is going on with those? from Dignitas.
Welcome to the new patch, man.
All right. Interesting observer bug. That's a new one for me. Then again, I've seen
It's a new one on this patch.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of bugs in my day. That's a new one. But like you said, it's a new one on this patch. Always got to roll out the new bugs. But we also have to roll out and have a little bit of damage in the spot lane. Whereas Instinct and JJ, both taking blows at one another. Not necessarily too harmful, though, since it's early into the game. They can utilize their health regen, get back to full, unless your son makes a play onto spawn early on. He flashes in. He is making that early play with an Ignite, too. A Flay saves the life of spawn for now, but they already got that flash out of spawn. That's a big win for the side of TSM.
3 summoner spells are down. This opens up your son to just fish for dredge lines off cooldown. We'll see if he can make good use of it, as I do want to update fans at home. We got the junglers, both Path and Bot. Looks like Hyper going for the full clear, whereas XU, he might be taking a clear. It gets him bot lane a little bit faster, given that 3 summoner spells are now down on the side of TSM. And that Nautilus, if the Jarvan is able to get here first, could be a juicy target.
I think they want level 2 before they look for the next play, especially onto spawn, but that's why JJ standing in front of him. Making sure it's that much more difficult since there is no flash for Yurson this time around. He can't flash auto hook. That's the play I've talked about in the past. That's how you play Nautilus. The one thing that I'm sad about is that Yurson didn't opt in for the Hex Flash to make sure he can rinse and repeat that play over and over again.
Actually, I also want to shout out Instinct, that bot play when he hit level 2, threw the zap against the terrain, so Spawn had no way to dodge out on that. That was something like really small, but you know, one of the good mechanical signs that we see from so many of the talented players that we do have in Academy, even Instinct being that rookie. Now on the jungle pathing, catching back up. It is going to be 5 camps for each of the junglers, but it looks like XU going to shift his power over to the top side, given that Aatrox does have priority early. There should be a handshake of crabs for each jungler.
Speaking of that top lane, Viper just got his first CS of the game. He's actually been struggling against Eclipse. Eclipse is forcing him away as much as humanly possible, getting a good trade of damage on top of Viper. So this Akali pick, not really faring as well. Like, we kind of were curious how this would work into Aatrox.
Now, Viper will pick up the rest of this wave. I will admit this is a pick that I am not as familiar with as other counters we see into Akali. Usually see a little bit more like Renekton set. We even seen some Lucian. Aatrox is new, but Eclipse making good use of it.
Plus, we usually only see that at a Philip anyways.
Also true. Our Aatrox specialists over there at FlyQuest. Eclipse hoping to channel some of that energy, as Philip's Aatrox is pretty nasty. Didn't have the best time today, but still one of the better player champ combos we have here in Academy. Now, I think importantly enough for Viper, yes, those first 3 waves were rather abysmal for him in this matchup, but he was able to pick up all the experience and most of the CS. So, and Eclipse also actually didn't get the cheater recall, so he burned his teleport on the way back. Now, he does have an item advantage, so he's going to try and force that on the Viper.
Utilizing a lot of that lead, but Viper now has hit level 4, so he's got all the abilities necessary to fight back against Eclipse. As you talked about before, that shuriken flip, if you time it right, and we know Viper will because he's really good at the champion, you can get a lot of trade back and forth onto Eclipse.
And I also like how Hyper's here. This is a wave that Eclipse is looking to fight on, right? It's shoving into him. He has item advantage. If he's able to thin it out, he can land favorable trades on the Akali. But Hyper just being there to hover, that is a timer where XE would look to attack top, and that's good presence of mind from Hyper, slowing down his clear a little bit to help out his solo laner at the right time. Really like seeing that out of the young jungler from TSM Academy.
It's the growth. It's what we talked about before. This player at the beginning of the season was someone nobody was really talking about. Now, he has looked like he has grown ages, maybe millennia, in just the short span of a spring split with how different. It's night and day from last year to this year.
I mean, it's night and day from week 1 to week 8. Honestly,
True.
It's been a nice goal up for Hyper. I'm really hoping that he can continue to do it. And I know that might surprise a lot of TSM fans. You know, seeing their original LCS mid laner in, and then TSM picking up wins. I think Kaido has been playing fine, but I really think the reason this team is picking up more wins is because of the improvement out of Hyper and your son. Maybe those roster swaps for TSM doing them some justice at both levels. LCS team picked up a win this past week, and Academy has looked much improved in the last 2.
Picking up the last game as well. But look at this. The early game pressure we wanted to see out of XU. A lot of damage onto Yurson. Play back in for first blood out of spawn. Hyper was too little, too late to make sure they can turn it around for another kill themselves.
Really good stuff from Dignitas. That level 1 flash from Yurson to guarantee they had lane priority and won the trade. I think it was worth it, but it does open up windows for the enemy team to punch back. And Dignitas, XU, able to find a really good one there.
And we wanted to see these early plays out of XU. I was wondering if we were ever going to see it, and he goes bot lane and does just that.
I mean, not much else to talk about, right? No flash, just caught out.
Yep.
Really good game planning from Dig. And this is something that they need to do in this game. And I think overall for TSM, it's actually been like a okay-ish early game. This game is going to get weird because I think a lot of TSM's strategy is trying to move this Rise and move Hyper to snowball Viper in the top side. And I think as long as Kaido is stuck in lane, it actually really favors Dig. Now,
Eclipse.
here we go.
World Ender pop. That's perfect
Oh,
execution with the Ignite ticking.
Goodbye.
Solo bolo from
Oh.
Viper with the BM to top it all off.
Oh, Viper's feeling himself, man. He really wanted to drop the emo spam. As that was just too easy for him on this Akali. We teased how good he's been at this champion. We teased how Viper, you know, someone that we feel like has been playing really well despite TSM being in 10th. And now that TSM started to level up as a team, we're seeing more moments from Viper where he's able to shine. Nice solo kill there, as that's a big one for TSM. We talked about how their game plan, I think a lot of it's focused around getting this Rise, getting this Viego top, making sure the Viper's set up for success. He's able to get himself ahead. That's going to make it much easier for his team to help him stay ahead moving forward.
And it's going to be that much more difficult for Eclipse to actually have movements around the map and do things. That's what I'm really worried about with how they're able to play the top lane.
And it's going to make it even harder for the Rift Herald. TSM, 15 seconds away from Rift spawning. Kaido just got blue. Viper is going to be able to bounce this wave out, and I'm looking for TSM to find a window to take this Rift Herald cleanly. They have prio mid, they have prio top. Let's see if they can execute this objective and make sure Dignitas can't respond.
I don't think that Dignitas can. Look at where XU is at the moment. Hyper actually, I'm watching his movement. There is a red buff up with that Hextech Dragon. It's curious. I thought he'd immediately book it for an early Rift Herald take since they have advantages in both mid and top.
I mean, Viper has 2 levels right now on Eclipse. I think that this should be the path of attack for Dig, and I think Dig know this. So you have XU trying to trade, and XU,
Nice.
barely going to be able to sidestep the choppers. Nice lantern there from JJ. Does get him out safe, but TSM, hey, they protect their bot side jungle from getting invaded. That's preventing a counterplay that Dignitas were planning. And all in the meanwhile, Viper just continue to get that top lane priority and set up this Herald for whenever Hyper's ready to take it.
And maybe even wait out until he's got Eclipse showing in the top lane as he's doing now, to look for a play where he pressures off this Aatrox once more, and then they can go back and take this Rift Herald. Because at the moment, they have that advantage there, but they also have that advantage with a bit of the ebb and flow from bot lane, giving Instinct and Yurson that ability to rotate up to try to help out this dragon.
Yeah, this one's curious for me. This feels really greedy from TSM, and also not a part of like the win con. You can just take Herald for free. That's the better objective. So I'm really surprised they're testing the waters with this dragon and risking a 5v5 where I think Dignitas are pretty strong at this point of the game, and Hyper now is low, making it harder for him to get that first top
Eclipse is dead. There's not much to talk about. He gets a little bit of damage, but he's still dead nonetheless.
And Hyper will get spotted.
Flashback, flag direct missed. They've got a lot of damage on the other side. JJ had to flash away. It's a whole skirmish on the other side between the two junglers. And guess who won? It is Hyper who wins out. They can look for a dive with JJ being so low. They've got the minions. They are retreating at the moment because they saw Dark Wings right behind them. So instead, they turn their attention onto the mid laner. It's all the flashes and a nice lantern away, but they're burning the summoners out of Dignitas.
And Hyper winning that 1v1, that's huge because that turns the Dragon mistake on its head. Darkwings, barely able to get out. This still could be a dive, though. I think that since they don't see XU, they can't go for the dive, but TSM, that's big. They were able to get Instinct ahead a little bit and also at least punish Dignitas taking the Dragon. Now, Rift Herald's still really delayed. I still think this is the play that TSM should be making, but at least in the meanwhile, they were able to attack top, go even on the bot side.
It's the fact that Viper is just winning out so handedly as well. He's got all the pressure onto Eclipse that I just don't know what this Aatrox can do anymore.
We're going to get a 6-second look. So this commit, it's just a split fight, and XU not getting any help makes it really difficult against the Viego. Props to Hyper, weaving in those abilities, weaving in those empowered autos you get when you connect the Q and the W, making it real tough for XU to win that 1v1. and Dignitas continue to fall behind. I think this is a game that gets really tough for them. You know, you're staring down a Jinx. You're staring down this side lane that Viper's already really far ahead. And now you're staring down TSM trying to take a cleaner Rift Herald. Something that I really still hoping to see out of them. As I think that this should be the game plan.
I'm
making sure
surprised they haven't
you
yet.
take this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think contesting the Dragon in the bot lane was kind of weird. I think that if you just lean into smoking topside, you win out late on the Jinx having a ton of range. So this is something I want to see if TSM can put together. They still have mid prio, they still have top prio. Should be able to take this cleanly.
So at the moment, TSM got their
Or we
jungler
attack
bot
bot.
lane. They noticed that Spawn didn't have his assistance from Thresh. They don't have the wave set up, and it's a nice clear since the right guns were there for Spawn to clear out the waves effectively and make sure that there isn't that easy setup for TSM.
And Hyper was spotted
It was.
getting here. That sweeper did not spot the board. You now see Axu trying to use his own. Getting
Nice
a little feisty. They
hook,
find him.
flag and drag with the box as well, and bursted by Spawn.
And I think this is a really big mistake from Hyper. They're playing into the win con of Dignitas, right? It's a Jarvan Thresh set up around an Aphelios. The ability that these two champions have to attack bot as a jungle and support is so great. TSM are trying to fight fire with fire instead of taking a free win on the top side, taking this Rift Herald and trying to snowball Viper from there. This Rift Herald may not even be taken or dropped
Oh.
before plates drop. TSM have had so many windows to do this for free, have not taken any of them, instead have opted for these bot fights that have not gone their way.
Play.
As we might have another.
They look at where XU and Darkwings are at the moment. They're waiting to show up. Hyper might be here, but the pull
We do it
doesn't
again.
go on to the one they needed to from JJ, so they have to retreat while
Here's
XU
some
and Darkwings have a flank. They can even get a flag and drag, but they go for Cataclysm first. Flag and drag
Double
out of there.
TP.
Double TP is going to scare them away. Look at the damage coming in from Hyper. Nearly taking down XU. They just need to attack one more bit of damage, but instead it is Hyper in the backline looking for JJ with Kaido, and a perfect execution kill comes in from Viper. Looking for XU as well, but he booked it all the way back to his base.
And all the forces for TSM, they are able to actually find a TP play before the 14-minute mark. These TPs are not empowered, but the fight went on so long. Kaido and Viper TP'd at the turret, round warped in, were able to make an impact, turn it in favor of TSM. Now on the backside, Eclipse is going to catch back up in this matchup. There's 2 plates for himself, a couple free waves. I think it's really important for making sure the Aatrox is strong. So I still don't know if I love this force and this trade from TSM, but they were able to burn their tools and come out on top.
The one thing I love is who got the kill. Viper picking up another kill in this fight. He's got his Rift Maker completed. This is a big win. Those are what they need to have for this Akali. So taking a look at this replay, it was a bit greedy from TSM to bait this one out, but I do think I appreciate them at least turning it back.
They did have the TPs in their back pocket, and this is a good play, like, for Dig trying to set up this crash. I think that TSM had to fight them here. This is a play that doesn't work if they don't have the TPs, but hey, props to TSM. They did have those TPs, and they were able to find the elongated fight thanks to the Realm Warp that got Viper and Kaido involved.
And with that, getting that second kill onto Viper, even getting a kill credit over for Kaido. They've got good positions in their solo lanes for TSM. The setup they need to. This is a really good mid to late game setup they have for themselves at the moment. The one thing for Dignitas, though, is the fact that Spawn is also getting kills. He's 2-0 on Aphelios, has a Gale Force and BF Sword completed, while Instinct is still working on getting his boots completed.
And Spawn, I mean, this is a player for Dig. I think that Spawn is someone else that has really flown under the radar as someone that has been performing nicely in Academy. And I got to pause because I think Viper,
No, you don't.
he might have another
Yeah, I
one.
was about to say, we knew
Oh,
what was
boy.
we knew what was coming, but this we did
Oh,
not
boy.
see coming. The kill, an immediate turn onto Instinct.
No flash.
That's so much damage that Instinct had no way of surviving. Even with Kaido nearby, Hyper is now being threatened. They can look for more fights onto the members of TSM, but instead, they're just going to get a good chunk of damage onto that turret.
And I think this is another consequence for TSM, like consistently opting into these bot lane fights instead of trading cross map. Sums are down from all the fighting, and Dignitas Axu circles back on the 2-minute window, able to find a positive play bot, able to pick up the second dragon for Dignitas. And these are the windows that are getting Dignitas back in this game.
Yeah.
Your top side is getting murdered by Viper and TSM, and the fact that TSM continue to try and force bot, it's opening up these windows for Dig to fight back. And props to XU and Dignitas. They are finding them, taking advantage of that, and keeping this game close.
Looking at this, it was a nice pull from JJ to set up the rest of the fight and the pick.
And like Hyper's here, but he can't do anything because Dig are first to the play. So once again, Dig, XU, utilizing the power of this ganking jungler, Jarvan Thresh, textbook duo we've always seen in the league. It's gotten Spawn really far ahead. And this is a game where, shifting into the mid game, all eyes have to be on Spawn, how he plays these team fights, and all eyes have to be on Viper, and if he's able to find Spawn and utilize the huge gold lead that Viper has in the top side to make sure this game's going in favor of TSM.
Right now, Viper versus Spawn, with who has the most gold. They're
That's kinda what it
nearly
feels
dead
like,
even, too. Look at the gold between an Akali and an Aphelios. You like having gold on Aphelios. You really love having gold on Akali. Because that I think that, I know, really? It's controversial, yes, I know. But it allows these...
Gold on a marksman?
Right? Gold, hey. Gold on a marksman, they continue to scale up, they get scary, yes. You want that. But I'm talking more about the Akali. Because when you look at Dignitas...
You can use that now.
Right. You can use a lot of that advantage from the side of Dignitas. But when you look at TSM, it's going to be difficult to actually stick to Spawn. There's a lot of peel on the side of Dignitas to keep Spawn alive.
Well, believe it or not, this is the first Rift Herald of the game. And it is going to come down at the 17:30 mark as TSM could look to use this to try and break mid. One of the outer turrets they have not been able to sniff. While all this is going on, too, I think it's important to clips. Some more free time in the bot side, was able to get that wave in, crash it, and get a safe reset. That is something we're going to have to look out for the side of Dignitas, as Eclipse, obviously, has been put really far behind in this matchup. So anytime he's able to get a wave in like that, that's really important for Dig. Takes away that window where TSM can make a play on the weak member.
Plus, getting more gold for Eclipse since he is suffering in that matchup against Viper. As easy as time you can give Eclipse, the better. Make sure that he's constantly getting in that position to fight back against the members of TSM. When he rejoins in some of these fights, I look at Dignitas, and yeah, they will struggle to stick to Ryze and Jinx, but they have good tools to get into that backline with XU and JJ.
Now, we will have to see if Dig, like, how they play these fights, because, yeah, like, Dignitas do have tools to die, but I think it's all about peeling this Victor, peeling this Aphelios, and, flash for flash traded. That is actually a big cooldown down. They could try and attack the Nautilus. This is JJ.
Prison. They just
no
attack JJ. They kill him off, and they can even look for a play here in the bot lane.
Really big for TSM, as they are playing this out like a 4-1, having Viper push up the sides, and that collapse on JJ was really nicely done. Gives them the space now for Viper to continue to attack the side, and for TSM to take this mid outer for free. Meanwhile, Eclipse has been solo farming alone in the side wave. Viper will now go to answer, and we'll see TSM shift their power now to the top side.
Eclipse is doing his damnedest to get back into the game. He is still struggling against Viper, and he doesn't really want to match up against Akali anymore. So getting that little bit of gold is nice, but it's traded for the fact that we get a tier 1 turret cracked by TSM with the help of that Rift Herald. And a lot of that gold was put onto Instinct. He's 0 and 1. He's a little bit behind in CS to spawn, but you need to make sure you're getting this Jinx into a position to consistently battle back against spawn.
And, Kaido.
Yeah, he's playing aggressively.
He's taking advantage of the power of the Rise. Needs to be careful, though, as JJ is here on the hover, knows that he isn't spotted. Kaido gets too feisty. This could get turned on. But this is just each team kind of posturing before this dragon. We are 50 seconds away from Ocean is the soul that we drew on the map. Good for Dignitas. They did pick up the first two, so this could be a soul point. I think, once again, all eyes on Spawn, all eyes on Viper. Can the side of TSM find Spawn in the backside? Can Dignitas peel for their big marksman? As, Ultimate actually going to be used to stop a base and try to prevent Spawn from getting back out onto the map in time. Still going to take the recall, but this does ensure that TSM could take control over the dragon if they want to. Instead, TSM at the moment looks to be taking control of the top side.
A bit surprised by that. I would have thought they would have turned their attention immediately.
I think they really need the dragon.
I do too. That's what I'm like.
I think that's the big comeback mechanic for Dig. I would want to prevent that.
Yeah, as much as possible. So that's why seeing them even put down a little bit of vision, understandable to a degree, but you need this dragon. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And props to Instinct connecting with that ultimate. I know it was on Vision, but look at Spawn. He's still getting out of base on the reset. And I think that given just that delay of bases, this actually nets TSM the Dragon for free. As Dignitas, they were late to contest. We'll just take sidewaves and TSM prevent that soul point from going over. That's really big for them.
Yeah, they take over a bit of the side lanes. They get Dignitas get themselves an advantage, except for the fact that Kaido is also in the side lane and keeps Eclipse pinned. He's got a 2-level advantage over Aatrox. Eclipse really is not having a good game against any solo laners at this point. He can't fight against either Akali or Ryze.
You see Kaido even popping that Hex Drinker as Eclipse. That tower's going to fall now thanks to the side laning power of Ryze and Kaido's play at this point. And Dignitas didn't have anything to pick up in return. So TSM slowing this game down a little bit, making sure they pick up those objectives, really have helped them and going to put them in better position as we move on to the later stages of the game where we're still really looking for Viper to see if he can get that back line.
So I'm looking towards Dignitas, and they played really well in the early game, didn't they? That's what we wanted to see out of them, is attack early, attack these solo lanes, these side lanes. But still, it feels like Dignitas, because of Viper alone, are so far behind, and now Kaido has gotten to a position where he is also just as scary. I'm just curious what Dignitas can do to make sure they stop this slow bleeding they are now facing.
I think they just have to make sure that, you know, they protect Spawn. And Spawn, so much is going to be on him. I think that Spawn's best setup, just given that he is going into this Akali that is so fed, I think that, you know, Severum or Red-White is probably going to be the setup that Spawn's looking for and just trying to deter TSM from the dive. I think that's going to be really important. Make sure that he has the guns that enable him to stay alive and enable him to do as much damage as possible to the divers of TSM. And I think outside of that, JJ has positioned so that the Lantern can get Spawn out of safety. Because you got to believe that once your son gets that flashback, it's going to be a flash depth charge onto Spawn or Darkwings. That Lantern has to be on point to make sure that when the depth charge connects, the member of Dignitas is not in trouble. So I think those are the few things I'm really looking out for on the side of Dig. The play defense, try and protect from what TSM is going to be throwing at them in these team fights.
At the moment, Dignitas are playing pretty safe, but it loses them a lot of control around the river. So many control wards have been placed down by TSM all throughout this river, gaining them so much control, making it really scary for Dignitas to step even out of their own jungle.
And I like this from TSM, as they know that Dig is on reset. They're going to hover top just to make sure Viper can push this out, and then Instinct is actually able to get mid-wave too. So this gives TSM some power on the top side. I think they're playing this really nicely, just moving around together, checking the brushes, taking away some angles for Dig to get in as XU.
Okay, this could be
look to R.
Could have looked a little risky there for TSM.
Yeah.
The fact that Dignitas didn't know exactly where Viper was meant that they didn't want to look for that engage. Even if they get this put on to Hyper, they're still afraid. Look at what's happening on the other side. Kaido is just soloing out Eclipse.
Yeah,
they've got him rooted forever. And this is more the tanky Ryze that we're talking about. And you're still losing out as Aatrox.
I mean, the Frozen Heart does help. There's just nothing they can do. They're going to use that power to take a fight.
There's the TP. They've got XU going golden immediately. Flashed, but he has to Cataclysm back in and is already dead in the fight with the Moonlight Vigil connecting onto members. That is a huge pull, forcing out the ult of Viper. But they're not going to get any more. They have to peel back. It's the one pick for TSM.
I think that is enough damage on the jungler to make sure that TSM at least cannot start the Baron. And honestly, I like this from TSM. If they get a Queen reset, they can get out on the map first to make sure they can take this dragon. They understand that they have the scaling advantage. They outrange Aphelios as the game goes on. And they're really strong for the next 10 to 15 minutes before Victor gets online later. So I think it's a good understanding of TSM, taking it slow. And they should guarantee that they get control over the bot river and make it really difficult for Dignitas to try and contest this dragon.
And in fact, that looks like what they're doing at the moment with the Scuttle Crab up. Waited for Eclipse to hit it first, so the shield is gone. Then puts Chompers down, secures vision.
Taking a second look. XU, once he goes this deep, he's dead. And you can see JJ is trying to find the angle to give him the lantern, but just was never able to get XU out of there. TSM get the kill, able to walk back. And now we see that map state I was talking about. Since they took that reset and since they didn't try and prod the Baron, look at all the control they have
Yep.
over both sides of the river. Dignitas have no way to respond, and I think TSM should use this just to make sure they take that dragon cleanly. Soul is going to be the big comeback win con for Dignitas. You can see they're putting all their power in the bot side river and really looking at trying to get on Hyper here.
But he
They
ults
trade
out.
ult for ult.
Yeah, ult for ult, and that's a big play for Hyper at the moment because he doesn't go down. He doesn't even have to burn his flash. Well, the turret might be taken by Dignitas. That's the consolation prize.
I mean, it's not bad. They are able to at least clear out mid-outer, and since Viper's showing top, they know that they can push really aggressively on this power play. And that was what Dignitas needed to get control back over this Baron. That's actually enough to deter TSM from even checking the bot river, as they're going to be realm warping to the Baron.
Hyper got left out. This could actually delay that Baron take a bit. Enough time for Dignitas to show up, but it is them now checking blindly into this Baron pit. Hyper is right there, and he's looking for that engage. He wants spawn, but he's got a lot more damage onto XU first. Flag and Drag gets a knockup. They've even got the gravity field to shut down Viper, but it's a trade for a dragon. Dignitas have to fight back here. They need to make sure they can deny the Baron getting back from TSM. They've got a lot of damage, and they've got the kill onto your song. But look at this. The port's in. It's Hyper gone first. He's safe, and then the other two will fall. No, Kaido! He gets left out. It was a Darkened Blade for Eclipse, so they can turn it and get one more out of TSM. He's fighting back valiantly, but he'll eventually fall to the outnumbered and outgunned Rise.
And honestly, this is a huge win for Dignitas. I mean, this is a team, they always are not afraid to send it. We have seen them flip so many Barons, so many objectives. This is a game where we were talking about Dignitas. They're slowly bleeding out. They're dropping things. For them to get Soul Point and kill 3 out of the 5 members that picked up this Baron, I think is a big win for Dig.
Yeah, and we take a look at this replay. It starts with this pick onto Viper. The fact Viper didn't get enough damage or get any damage onto spawn allows Dignitas this time.
And honestly, it's nice presence of mind from XU, because XU knows, hey, me going to this Baron, it's probably going to sack my life for a 50-50. If I take this kill, can we clean up? Like, can we get, 3-4 members plus? And that split-second decision-making for him to EQ back to knock up that Akali, chain CC with Dignitas. Actually, a big decision that I think they walk out on top of that play. I know it's Baron for TSM, but you have Soul Point.
Right.
And you're staring down a team where you get outscaled. It's really tough for you to deal with this really fat Akali who's just going to be wrecking your backline and wrecking you in sides for the rest of the game. Dignitas actually gave themselves away back by rolling the dice, making that play. Big props to them.
Well, the fact, too, there's only 2 members now that have the Baron buff, but Eclipse, he's taking a lot of damage. He's out of there with the World Ender. The TP came through. Where's the rocket damage? It finds the Sniper Instinct.
Instinct says, you didn't get out quite yet. That Hex Drinker doesn't affect Jinx Rocket. And now Dignitas, they're in the same scenario TSM was, as they're getting chased down the side lane. Fortunately, Victor able to buy enough space to get Dig out of there. But Instinct showing mid. They might turn it.
They're looking for the fight. They've got a Cataclysm on to Hyper with Viper there, too. Shuriken flips with the Flay from JJ. Huge on the side of Dignitas to turn the fight back onto TSM's head.
Dignitas are never afraid to fight. They will always take any opportunity that prevents itself. And XU going in there, it might have looked disjointed. It might have looked like he was too far ahead. But Viper was the one who ended up diving too deep, as yes, Instinct's going to pick up some gold for himself. But Dig, they're winning out across the map. They're winning out on the play. And, we got to pause. Hold on.
Kaido, you didn't realize JJ's still here. A TP2. Kaido, it's one against the world here. You've got a lot of fight in you, but you're too damn tanky to have any damage that can stick onto Dignitas, and they will fall to a killing spree for Darkwing.
And I feel like there have just been so many unforced errors from TSM, like fishing for that kill, not tracking the TPs. I know we're going to get a second look here. Instinct showing mid. TSM, by chasing, they should know that, hey, this can be turned on us. And props to JJ and Dignitas. Something we've always praised Dignitas for this season. Their ability to play as a team. When they flip the game, when they go for these aggressive plays, it's good or bad, but they do it together. And that oftentimes awards teams who make that team play, that split decision to turn on the Viper, shut him down. That's what enabled Dig to win that fight. And just like that, man, Magical, we have a minute 15 until Ocean Soul Point for Dignitas.
Right.
It is an even gold game. And Dignitas, by just throwing the kitchen sink at TSM, have really caught them off guard and have brought themselves back into a game state where this is very winnable for Dig.
What is with today, Cubby? This isn't the first time we've seen this happen today.
It's the third crazy game we've had.
Third crazy. The only one that was close was the last game, and we only have 4 games on this second channel on Face It TV. That is wild to see that we are this close in a our 4th match of the day, only one being stopped by TSM.
And both of these teams really need the victories. Dig, tied for 6 coming into this week. Need to solidify that top 6 to avoid the do-or-die best of 3. TSM in 10th. They need the miracle run, but also posturing for seeding. Maryville's the 7th seed, and I wouldn't want to face them in the playoffs, considering they just took down Hunter next. So I think both these teams, and this one's coming down to the wire, really important game for each. 20 seconds away from this Ocean Dragon. Dignitas, they have push. And they have flashes down on TSM. Hyper, Kaido, those are the 2 targets that Dig are really going to be looking for.
They fished for a hook, and they got it on Yurson. Yurson takes a lot of damage, but he goes golden immediately. And look at the damage from Viper, but they've got him locked down again. Eclipse still survives, so they got the kill on a Viper, and now it's Spawn. He's got a rampage going on. He's got more kills. They can't touch him. They can't do anything. He's able to kite back forever and a half, picking up more kills for the team, and Dignitas will get themselves the soul.
When we were setting up this, mid to later stages of the game, we were setting it up to be Spawn versus Viper. They were the 2 members that got really fed. They were the 2 members that were going to have to carry their team across the finish line. And Spawn is doing it for Dignitas. He played that team fight so well.
Then just watch his positioning here. It starts with a good play from JJ, and it looked like it could have been dire from Viper. But the fact that Spawn is so far back.
This start from Viper was so good, but TSM, they don't go on Spawn together. Instinct also, he's in this pit. He's never able to rotate around, get autos involved. He's got to walk around this wall. TSM has to buy the time for that. They went in too deep. The Jinx wasn't able to DPS. Spawn ends up using that gold lead that he's accumulated throughout the game to just run over TSM. And Dignitas, the 3rd play in a row that they've made to get themselves back in this game. And now it feels like it is in their favor. They have the Ocean Soul. They have the upper hand.
They have 4 items on Spawn as well. 7, 0, and 2. 1 item away from full build, but he's already got that Guardian's Angel. So if it was already difficult to get on top of him in the first place, now it's going to be nearly impossible unless you can pop him when he's out of position.
And now for TSM, I mean, this rise in the side lane, Victor's hit a really strong point. Now has a Void Staff to cut through some of the resistances that TSM have built up. It's Spawn sitting at 4 items, that GA plus Bloodthirster. It's going to be so hard for Akali and Viego to get him off the map. Dignitas know this. They can start up Baron and bait TSM in, use the poke of Victor and the strength of Spawn and the guns he has at the moment to push TSM off if they want to.
And right now,
that's
got
one trinket blood out.
Yeah, they got one of the the blue trinkets from the side of TSM.
Yeah, we got there.
Yeah, we got there eventually. But I'm just, right now, this is tense because we are dead even in gold, and even if it's a soul for the side of Dignitas, we talked before about the scaling on TSM. They can turn this around with just one good fight.
One reset for Jinx, right? That's all you need. We've seen so many games where Jinx has just been able to take over on the back half. Now Dig, I think pointing this out nicely, both teams just playing 2 lanes. Dig has push in each, but now TSM pushing really far up mid, trying to bait Dig into the, or out of the river, I should say. Both teams are going to kill off these waves. And we're just, it's a little bit of a high noon standoff we have mid.
Both teams, it's almost that Nay ramp. It's the start coming in from TSM. A lot of damage on Eclipse, but he dies first. Your son's gone. And they've got a lot more damage with the rocket not doing enough to take down the members of Dignitas so they can peel back and look for that Baron.
Oh, you could actually see how much damage that one EQ from Ryze did despite Kaido going for the tank build. That mana scaling, it pays off. Now it's a 5v4. We talked about Dig trying to bait in TSM. Spawn's got to rotate out these guns. He's now at blue-purple. This is a really good setup for TSM. Kaido
oh, no.
Check. Now
Viper, he's burning to the ignite out of JJ, a hero for the team once more with the Baron surely in their pocket. Hyper, he's on the other side of the wall. He would love to get inside that pick, but he's chased off by the World Ender himself. Eclipse has come back into this game with a force, and Dignitas are 1 step away from clinching victory.
Hyper's got to be going down as well, and TSM just over time falling apart, and I want to continue to credit Dignitas for making these team plays. The turn on the Viper again from JJ, man. The bot lane of Dignitas has stepped up so huge in this game, and we talked a lot about TSM attacking bot early. Because they attacked bot so much, Dig were the ones that won out on those fights. Their bot lane got ahead. And Spawn and JJ, the way they've been able to run with that lead this game, that's been the big difference. Just have made sure that Viper wasn't able to do the same on the side for TSM. And that's why we see Dig now sieging on the base of TSM. And TSM, they have no answer.
They have nothing they can do. with the Baron on to, I think, all 4 members. Yeah, it's on all 4 members of Dignitas. TSM are getting threatened on all sides.
And Hyper, you know, that late death, he was able to get picked. Now, that is actually a stoppage of bases for TSM. It could have been a window where they could have looked, but they don't have any wards to TP to.
Yeah.
And Dig, I think for Dignitas, so they have Baron, Elder's up in a $140. Dig need to make sure that they do not make any mistakes on the map. Elder is the Hail Mary that TSM are looking for at this point. And I'm looking to see if Dig can, they already have one inhibitor knocked down. They can 4-1 mid the bot, try and take the rest, but if they make any mistakes, that is the window that TSM are looking for. They could take the Elder, so really want to see if Dig can play this cautiously and want to see if they can take smart fights, because we always talk about how Dig loves to fight. They can turn fights that look like 50-50s into wins for them, but sometimes that does lead to over-aggression. I want to see Dig show some restraint here, realize the importance of this Elder, make sure they play this one out clean.
They're working as a team. Good step. Clearing out the vision inside the jungle around that Elder pit.
Yeah, this is good.
Letting TSM have an angle to even TP behind them.
This is good. This is one of the perks of knocking down that top inhibitor, because it is much easier to execute this in a 4-1. Take away those windows where TSM might be able to find numbers or find picks on you. Dignitas doing this very cleanly. TSM can't leave their base. Another tower falls in favor of Dig.
They have a good amount of minions. They can continue to threaten another inhibitor turret here in this bot lane, but TSM doing as much as they possibly can to clear out the minions, but it's difficult. They don't have really the wave clear at the moment because of the Baron buffing on all 5 members of Dignitas.
Also, we're 20 seconds away from Elder. If we could zoom out and just check the bot side jungle, TSM have no wards. They only have 1 control ward it's right above Dig.
Right there.
There is, and 1 behind. Those are the only 2 wards they can look for. Maybe a double TP play. Maybe to get Viper behind. As TSM, it's such a dark jungle, and now with Elder spawning and see Dig just retreat into the fog of war, TSM is going to take them a while to clear all this out. And Dig can lay a trap at any point.
And look at the trap they've laid out for your son and Hyper. Both of them flash to survive, and they will be able to. But at what cost?
And that's all they need. Hyper losing half his health bar. That's enough to start up the Elder. Dignitas will do so immediately. Hyper forced to still contest. Fortunately, has the red buff to heal up. And now Kaido.
Oh, the pick. Another flash burned by TSM. Even the Gargoyle Stone Plate Shield to keep him alive. But they've started up this Elder.
Super
Hyper,
minions crashing
it is
top.
on you. You have to steal this way. You have to be a hero. Get the reset started for TSM. It is down to 50%, and you're not in the pit yet.
Dignitas don't even need to flip this. They have super minions crashing top. I would actually love to see Dignitas pull this out, show some restraint, maybe find another re-engage once they get some ultimates back up. They are missing a few from the picks. You can see Axu playing this really slow. Dig realize the situation of the game they're in.
They're just allowing the minions to start taking the base. Minions working out. They've got the pick under your son. Huge pickup for the side of Dignitas. They reset the Elder. It is down to 50% again, and they can rinse and repeat.
And now Darkwings, he's actually TPing into the base. They're just going to try and stop the base so that the Victor win the game.
Exactly. They've got all they need to in this game. They flashed and got the kill onto Hyper. No resets for TSM. This game has been won by Dignitas. The war of attrition has worked in their favor, and they've got the Nexus to even it out at 1 apiece. We have another tied series here today, Cubby. It has been one hell of a close day. They're patting the KDAs on the way out.
And the thing that we... Okay, well, we're going to pause. We're going to have a little bit more fun.
There we go.
Oh, never mind. Viper was going for the solo kill, but the thing that we praised TSM for so much in Game 1 was how Hyper was able to work with his team.
Yeah.
How Hyper was able to make sure that, you know, he bought time for his team to scale and go from there. I think that game, we got to praise Dig for the same exact thing. They were down. Their ability to play as a 5-man unit, Xu's ability to find engages, find angles on this Jarvan, that's what made the difference, bought the space for Spawn to knock everything down. Spawn had a huge game there for Dignitas, and they really needed that one. Keep in mind, the race for top 6, there are 3 teams that are 1 game apart, and only 2 can make it into the top 6. Dig is one of those teams. They need every win they can put together. That was a really good sign. A nice small comeback victory for them, just finding team fight after team fight that went in their favor.
And I'm looking to see when we have... 100 Thieves are playing right now, too, against Golden Guardians.
That's a tough match.
It's a tough match for 100
Golden Guardians
Thieves.
pretty good.
But all they have to do is go 1-1. 100 Thieves. Because here, Dignitas going 1-1 against TSM would mean they're both even. If they somehow miraculously can go 2-0, 100 Thieves, they'd be up a game. The Dignitas. There's a lot on the line here at the very end of this Super Week. I'm excited for all of it because it will decide. Every single game, every single series matters. But right now, we're going to toss it to a break. When we come back, our wonderful host of Kangas will be back. Make sure you stay tuned.